Greetings. I have a general message today. It is probably going to be pretty specific to whoever this resonates with. A message came through in dreams last night, and it took a little bit of time to sit there and kind of decode what felt like the right message, and definitely meditated on it quite a while. And by what resonated for me for the dream itself, like what message I was getting from the dream and what felt like the right message to put out there, someone has started like a new project or a new job or something new and exciting, like going on a new path in life. That can even be like, symbolic. Like, it doesn't have to be a literal physical job or a literal physical thing. It can be a mindset shift. It can be like starting a new path, kind of like, Ace of Wands type of energy, Ace of Swords, where you're kind of like, you know what, things are going up, things are going great. We're going to start making plans for this new project or this new job or this new idea or this new path that we're going to be entering on. And there are some kind of people in your life right now that you may be relying on, that maybe kind of you feel like they're kind of there as like a resource. Like, it sounds horrible. It's like they're people that you've got in your life because it benefits you in some way. They're there as a resource. They're not so much there because you get emotional fulfillment out of it. They may be someone like an acquaintance or someone at your job or something like that. So they're very much people, that you would see as like, it may be mutually beneficial. Like, you may be paying them for a service, or you may be, they may be helping you out at your job, like some sort of assistance, liaison type of mediator type situation. And it's mutually beneficial, like, they get paid for the job and you get a service, like that type of thing. It could be nail technician for all I know. But the feeling is very much like this kind of base level acquaintance, friendship, work type situation. There's people like that in your life at the moment who you feel you're putting them on an integral role at this point. You're putting them in a level of, you need them right now. Like, there's someone that's responsible for a service or something that's mutually beneficial, that you believe that you need them in this present moment, without realizing how they may be kind of sabotaging you in another way. And it's because there's kind of like this group in the background that you don't see, that they may be a part of, or not so much a part of, but in like congregation with. Like, they know a friend of a friend who knows this, who knows that, who knows you, type of situation, who are not very supportive of you. They're not very supportive of your new idea, the place you may be moving to, the job or the idea or the path that you want to be going on right now. They're kind of like, you may come to them with a message and say, hey, this is what's going to happen, this is what's going on, and they're constantly making slights or digs at you or negative remarks. They may not be intentionally trying to sabotage you or your new path, but they're very much, they have an idea of who you are. They have a role where you fit. They have an identity that they have projected onto you, or maybe it's like an identity from your past that you've obviously grown through or grown up, or removed that part of yourself, or, you know, integrated it or whatever, but they want to see you to staying there. They don't want to see you leveling up. They don't want to see you making progress. They don't want to see you trying to go down a new direction that is actually healthy and positive, because it puts light on the parts of themselves that may not be, you know, they feel a sense of inadequacy, or they feel a sense of injustice towards the fact that you're going through this, or you used to be this, or this is the way I used to view you, and now you're not that person anymore. I can't control the narrative of who you're about to become. So they're not necessarily actively sabotaging you, but they have got a wound somewhere that is saying that this person can never change, this person is going to stay like this person is going to be blah, 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 blah. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to put you back into like an infantile stage. They're trying to, like, in the dream, it was a lot like, you know, they did a ritual, they did some sort of spiritual, you know, whatever, to try and block you and try to put you back to this infantile stage before, you know, before you grew up, before you had children, before you had a job, before you had, you know, a sense of purpose, before you had anything to make of yourself. They want to put you right back into this child state, into this like teenagery state where it's like, you don't have all this, we don't see all the work that you've done, you know. And for you, this jump is going to be very easy for you to get back into that stage where you were, like, right before. But it's like you've had this stage of, it was pretty quick too, where you've had this stage of like, it looks like all the work has been undone, because no one has seen all the work that you've done on yourself. No one is seeing all the strides that you've taken. No one has seen all the ways in which you've progressed and you've grown and you've matured and you've made something for yourself. People want to see you down in this infantile stage where you're going to rely on them for validation, or you're going to rely on them to tell you who you are exactly. And, you know, I keep getting this word infantile, like you don't know what you're doing. You can't possibly be mature. You can't possibly have grown. You can't possibly have done all this work all by yourself, or done anything in regards to your own healing. So yeah, that word infantile keeps coming up. It's very much like people are trying to take you back to that stage of where you felt helpless, where you felt worthless, where you felt a sense of struggle and survival, because then they know where to put you. They know what role you play, and it's kind of like a mystery to them of what's going to happen and where you're going to go and what they're going to be able to do with you, in a sense, like how they're going to be able to remain in control of the narrative if you're making these strides and you're taking these jumps and you're having this personality shift or maturing or adulting or whatever the hell it is. It very much feels like, though, that you're worried that, like, even though you have this, like, inner knowing that you will be able to, like, even though they've put you back, like, they've made you feel like you're put back into this position of infantile and weak and, like, you know, back to your past, you know that you're going to be able to mature and grow and go back to that stage where you are now. You're not going to, you're like jumping back to have a glimpse of what it was like, and, you know, where people were trying to sabotage you, where people were trying to keep you, and you know that because you've done the work on yourself, it's going to be like, you know, lightning bolt fast, that you're going to be able to just jump straight back to the timeline that you're in now, like the shift that you're going to. So it may be people trying to trigger you, or people trying to shame you or belittle you or put you back into that space where they know who you are, because you now fit the narrative of what they say you are, if that makes sense. But you are able to recognize what's going on because you kind of got like you've either taken the steps earlier than them to kind of recognize what's going on, like pattern recognition, or you've you just know the game too well. And so you've kind of so you already have like this precaution. So you've been kind of like, you've been blissfully unaware of anything that's kind of been happening behind the scenes, or any work that's being done to try to block your success or block your growth or block you maturing and adulting or changing the narrative of yourself. And you've just kind of been working on yourself and focus on yourself, and you've been happy to elevate and happy to mature and happy to grow and happy to learn like what you need to learn. So you haven't been aware of these things, and it's kind of just like this news comes in and you like get this message of like, look, this is your new path, and you just go and you take the action straight away, and you're like, okay, well, let's just go do this. And in that moment of when you've taken that action is when you realize who was trying to keep you back for their own sake, who was trying to keep you back because it benefited the narrative of what they said you were. And now that you've recognized that these people are working either as a team or, you know, collectively, energy-wise, they all have the same type of energy where they're kind of keeping you back from who you can be because it fits that narrative. Now that you're aware of that, you're like, kind of had this kind of like, oh, now I'm going to have to do it again. Because maybe you're being brought back to a state of infantile, or you're being kept back to a state of infantile where it's like maybe you got triggered, or maybe you had a moment, but it wasn't as big and explosive as they were expecting. It was just, you came there, you were flustered, you let your emotions slip for maybe 2 seconds, you recovered from it, you got your composure back, and you're like, nope, making a different decision. I'm leaving with my infantile self. I'm going to protect my inner child. I'm going to keep remaining being the protector of my inner child. And I'm going to watch myself grow back into this person that I know I am now. I'm going to help this inner child and walk with them through the stages almost so rapidly. It's like freaking like this. Like in a day or two, you're able to fully recover back into the person you were before this thing happened. And it's kind of put you in a state now where you can recognize that you're just at a different stage of your life now, where there is no revenge, there is no pettiness, there is a little bit of like disappointment where you feel like you know, you can't believe these things are still happening in the world, or you can't believe that these people are in any way, shape, or form trying to stop you from doing it. But there's also this sense of like, it's a projection. It's not you at the core of you doing actually something wrong in the world by taking a new path. It's just the fact that it does not benefit them anymore if you go onto a new path. Maybe that's an inadequacy, maybe that's a shadow, maybe that's just because they have some fear of you might leave them. Like, there's a lot of congruencies where it's like, you have no ill will moving forward with this person. You don't plan on abandoning them, you don't plan on destroying them or getting revenge on them or anything like that. You just want to move onto your new path, and it's kind of just like this faint, tiny sliver sense of like disappointment. Like, you're like, are we still doing this? Are we still doing this? Like, you know that it may just be that they can't see things the way that you do, which is fine. Like, different perspectives and different, you know, lives and different modalities of healing change your perspective sometimes, but that doesn't mean that, you know, you can accept them and understand them for the way that they decide to treat you and the way that they decide to limit your growth, but you don't let it stop you. Like, you can sit there and go, okay, this is what happened. This is the shift that needed to happen, but yeah, okay. I'm going to pull a few cards now because I'm like shuffling, because it's like I need to say this a little bit clearer and it keeps getting fuddled. Yeah, you've put too much work into trying to figure it out all by yourself. Like, sometimes it's like you need to have assistance from people. Maybe that's your spirit guides, maybe that's actual people, maybe that's a therapist, where you can get back your sense of independence, your sense of curiosity, where you can go, you know what, duality and contrast and dichotomy can all exist, where you don't have to accept the behavior as in, like, you know, okay, whatever, we can just put that to the side and make a decision based off of that. You're going to end up realizing that the thing that you thought was challenging was actually something that was made for your spiritual growth. So it's like going back to the start, the level, you know, when you've completed an entire game and has multiple levels, and you get taken back to the start of the level or start of the story or whatever, that's going to be a lot easier for you to just blitz through, and you're going to be able to put yourself back into this state of like, you know who you are. You know the work that you've done. You know, you got the Hermit card, which is about self-discovery. You've learned about yourself enough to know, okay, these are my wounds, these are my triggers, this is what happened in the past, this is the role that this person took in my life. And because of this learning and growing that you've done in yourself, you've been able to reflect deeply on the perspectives of others, where it's you have that higher level of understanding, you have that higher level of kind of like, it's kind of like a sadness, you can kind of feel it. It's like you feel kind of sad that this is the way that some people are still living, and it's not coming from a sense of entitlement or a sense of feeling above someone. It's kind of like you want to show people that things can be different with cooperation. like, you know, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Like, I'm totally happy to help you and accept you for who you are, but not at your own detriment. So it's like, if someone's out there sabotaging your growth or your expansion on purpose, or even like unconsciously, and you're sitting there kind of being like, I'm just working on myself, I'm not even focused on what you're doing, I'm not even focused on trying to be in competition with you or anything like that. You just want to express your congratulatory energy to someone that you believe is close enough, even if they're that acquaintance beneficial type energy. It's just like, this is the new thing that's happening in my life, and you feel that sort of sense of competition at the underlay, so you don't get to express yourself to the point of, okay, I can recognize this person as someone on my team, or someone in my family, or my soul family, or whatever. And it's a little bit of that sadness where it's like, oh, okay, this is the level of understanding that they have for me in this situation. I'm going to be able to take my inner child and that version of what they think I am, and be able to nurture it and let it express itself in a healthy way, but still remain back into a position where I'm grown. I don't need to tolerate particular things, but I'm also not going to lash out. I'm not going to do whatever. I'm just going to need to do what I need to do to make sure that I'm staying on my path. Okay, can we get a quick card for this collective person, whoever, specifically around what this is trying to teach them? Is it going to be a message? Is it going to be another card, or are you just... Okay, we've got the World, the Ace of Pentacles, Five of Cups, and the Nine of Wands. Yeah, the portal for the world has kind of like opened up to you, where you are starting on this new path. Like I said before, like with the Ace of Pentacles and the world, it's kind of like the world has opened up for you, and you're no longer crying over things that you can't control. You're no longer doing things in a way where you're emotionally attached to the decisions and the feelings and the thought processes of other people. Not so much that you don't have emotions for them, but you're coming from this from a more learned, like just detached experience where you're kind of standing in your own power. You have the courage to be yourself in this situation and to be like, okay, this is the decision that they're making. This is the viewpoint from where they're going at. I can have empathy for them and say, like, you know, blessings to you. Hope this becomes easier for you, because you can understand how that feels to be in that position, how that feels to be that type of person, how it feels to have that mindset of like, well, they're doing this, so I need to do this. They're doing this, so I need to do this. You've just removed yourself and just gone, okay, they're doing this, I'm going to leave them be. And, you know, I'm not going to engage in that role play with them of them trying to tell me who I am and them trying to tell me what reaction I'm going to have, what way I'm going to do this, what, you know, the back and forth cat and mouse game that you seem to have outgrown, you're no longer participating in. And so it's going to kind of just be a matter of, is this setback, or is this trigger, or is this thing that you've learned to kind of mature through, is this situation going to be a thing that you can learn to detach from, so that you, like, can you detach yourself in a kind, healthy manner from the person that you used to be enough and not feel guilty about the decisions that you've made and the decisions that other people are making right now, to be able to go on this new path without holding on to the guilt and the shame and any other emotional reaction that you used to have in the past. Like, let's say someone tries to purposely trigger you to get into your guilt or get into your shame so that they know the reaction you're going to have. Are you going to kind of recognize that emotion and then nurture yourself and understand that, okay, this is what they're trying to do, this is what they're trying to make me into again, but I'm going to, like, forgive myself, forgive them for what they're trying to do, and I'm just going to detach from that emotionally so that I can keep focusing on my path. Yeah, because you've opened your heart. Like, something has kicked off, like some sort of advice or something that's really touched you in your heart, to be able to kind of express yourself openly to the world and have that emotional fulfillment where you're no longer validating, no longer seeing your worth in the validation of other people and what they think about what you're doing. So, yeah, that's what I have for you.